Today, we are going to talk about the process of applying for work visas to the United States. So, I know for the past few days we've been talking about types of visas, immigrant visas, non immigrant visas, and so on. So, today I'm going to talk about how to get a US work visa. We are not going to address all 185 different versions of visa combinations. I'm going to go and address the most popular ones. What I need you guys to do, if you have questions, please put them in the chat. No matter which platform you are on, I'm going to try to see them all. So if you see me looking there, it depends. Could be YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok. Usually I get most of the comments on TikTok, but I'll address them wherever you guys have them. And we're going to go through that. Hi, Haji. All right. So let's talk about the most common work visas. So we have temporary visas and permanent visas. In the temporary category, the most common ones are H-1B, L-1, and E-2. So the only one here that doesn't require an employer to sponsor you is the E-2. So what is the process for an E-2 when there is no employer who needs to sponsor you? So if there is no employer to sponsor you, what you are really doing, you're sponsoring yourself. You are the investor or you are the trader, and you are opening a business in the United States that you intend to operate and for profit, and you are going to create jobs for US workers. That doesn't mean US citizen, means for US workers, people who are allowed to legally work in the United States. Basically, they would have a work permit and a social security number. So if you are going to do an investment visa, your process is you find out what the company is, that what kind of business you want to open. You are going to start the company, find the location for the company, do investment into processes, procedures, physical space, staffing, recruitment, whatever may be, machinery. And then we do a proper business plan that is not like the one you apply for the bank. It's the one that you need to have for the immigration officers who are going to make a decision in your case. And once that is done, we collect a lot of documentation. I swear these packages are about this big. And then we apply. Now, the question is, where do you apply for those visas? You can apply at USCIS within the United States if you are already in the United States in valid status, or you apply at the consulate if you are going to travel back and forth a lot and you cannot wait until they make a decision in the case, or if you're still outside the United States. In most cases, because the processing times are so long, we are going to apply in both places, USCIS at the consulate, and see which one turns up faster. Obviously, you don't want to spend a lot of money on this investment just to have this take 1.5 years to 2 years, which with immigration, that's not even that slow. So that is the one visa that doesn't require you to have an employer. Now, the L1 visa, which is slightly different, you are an executive or manager or a person with specialized knowledge for a company abroad, and you have worked abroad for that company for at least 1 year out of the most recent 3 years. And if that's the case, then they can open a subsidiary of that foreign company in the United States. They can open a subsidiary or an affiliate. Basically, they open a branch office in the United States. And in order to do that, they need you, the executive or manager, or you, the person with the specialized knowledge, to come to the United States and set it up and get the business going. So yes, in that case, you depend on the employer, but the process is very similar to the E1, but you do depend on the employer. The one that is a little bit different is the H-1B. The H-1B is every year, there is a very limited number of visas, and it's through a lottery system. The first employer registers, and then they register you. And if you are, that's usually just the first 3 weeks in March. If you do get selected in the lottery, then you have 90 days to submit a properly filed application. And once that one is done, and if you do get selected, you have time to get here on October 1st and start working on October 1st. The process has to show that the company needs you, that they cannot find qualified workers here. I mean, it's a little bit more complicated. The labor certification requirement that is met needs to be needs to show that they cannot find U.S. workers here, and this is how much they're going to pay you. But it's just that the qualifications meet the needs of the U.S. company. It's not as in-depth. It's a different kind of labor certification if the employer is going to sponsor you for a green card. So that's totally different, okay? For the H-1B, we call it a labor certification, an LCA. It's like Perm Light, okay? Totally different. But once you get that labor certificate, so you do the registration first, then you do the labor certification, then you apply, and then you get the visa. So those are the temporary options and how you get those in the United States to come here and work here. Let me address some questions from the chat. And let's see, on TikTok, let me see where you guys are. Address some of those before I go and talk about the permanent options. So let's see. Is it possible to get a work visa if someone comes to USA on visit visa? Not directly. If you are coming here as a tourist, you are expected to do tourist things. That doesn't mean you can't be someplace and meet someone who could use your services at that point. If they are willing to sponsor you for the work visa, they can start the process. You will need to be maintaining your status during this entire period of time that the process takes place. And that's where the challenge comes, because the cases take too long. Normally, you need to go back home and come back with that work visa once it is approved, depending on how advanced you are in terms of education and experience, the easier it is. And there are some options at the very high level for those of exceptional ability and advanced degrees who can apply work premium processing and get a response in a few weeks, okay? Not available for everyone. So theoretically, it's not available to change directly from a tourist visa to a work visa. And on your tourist visa, you are not allowed to work in the United States. And when you try to come in and out, they will see that on your phone, and that will raise flags, and you could be denied entry and then be barred for 5 years. It's not worth the risk. How long does it take to approve I-485 after application? It depends. What is your I-485 based on? Where exactly are you located? At what location did you file it? And when did you file it? So if you give me more information, I can probably look it up and give you more, okay? And you just need to answer once. You don't need to put it 4 times. How long does it take to give a date for immigration after all documents has to be after all documents have to be approved? I don't understand your question. So tell me more about the process that you are trying to do. And then I'll tell you how long it may take, and depends on where exactly did you apply. How to get a US visa for foreign workers working in Saudi Arabia. Where you are right now, it doesn't matter. It matters what your citizenship is. And I just addressed all the foreign workers and how to get visas just in that last 10 minutes. So there are also a lot of YouTube videos on my channel if you want to go and see how that gets done, okay? The fact that you are working right now in Saudi Arabia doesn't matter. We have so many people from the Philippines, Bangladesh, Pakistan who work in Saudi Arabia and who get visas to work in the United States all the time. Whether they're educated, uneducated, regular labor, or not. Usually the first step, if you really want to know your particular options specifically for you, is to call an experienced immigration attorney, disclose everything to them in terms of your education, experience, marital status, immigration history, criminal history, everything else, your education experience, the employer that is going to petition for you, and we can address it more. Don't make that call until you have an employer who's willing to petition for you. Okay. Asylum, Florida. Okay, so your question, you are asylum in Florida. So your question was, how long does it take to approve the 485 after application? Well, first I need you to tell me, did you apply for asylum? Have you had your interview with the asylum officer? Was your asylum already approved? Was your asylum referred to an immigration judge and it's pending there? Did you already apply for the 485 after your asylum was approved? Because all of this make a difference. So give me more and I'll address it, okay? When do I get my work permit after my biometric? The biometric is only the first step. So usually you apply for the work permit based on whatever category, and you get a receipt. Then a couple of weeks later, they do the biometrics. The processing time for the work permit depends on the category that you got it under. So for example, on asylum, 7 to 9 months. On those who are waiting for green cards and they apply for a work permit at the same time, it depends on the location. They have about 3 or 4 different processing centers for the work permits. It could be 7 months, could be an entire year. Okay. Okay. How long does it take to issue an immigrant visa, immigration visa? After all the documents has to be approved. So I don't know. It depends. All my documents for immigrant visa have been approved, but over 1 month, but no date from Dubai. Okay. So when you say your immigrant visa documents have been approved, you mean you are at the National Visa Center stage. You submitted all your documents and you got the confirmation that it's documentarily qualified, correct? If that is the case, and you are waiting for a date from Dubai, this is what needs to happen. The U.S. consulate in Dubai needs to let National Visa Center know that for the next 60 days, this is the number of interviews that they can schedule. And it depends on their staffing and work volume. So, for example, at the end of January, NVC is going to be notified by the consulate that says, in the month of March, you can schedule 30 appointments or 300 appointments, depending what that's the case. Now, if you are in line in the first 30 who are documentarily qualified, or the first 300 who are documentarily qualified, then you're getting a date. If not, you wait for the next month at the end of February when they are going to get the April months. That's the way that works, okay? How long for asylum work permit? 7 to 9 months. All right, I think I'm caught up on the questions. Let's see. You are very welcome. I hope that helped. All right, good. So let's talk about what happens when you are an immigrant, like this gentleman who works in Dubai, and he has an immigrant visa already approved, okay? And, okay. I just got a message. I'm like, I have to look at that. So if you have an immigrant visa already approved, okay, and you're waiting for that, remember what I just told this gentleman in Dubai, you have to wait for the consulate to let NVC know that they're going to schedule this many interviews. Then the first comes, first served. So whoever is first gets that visa, then you get scheduled. But how do you get to that step? Okay. The more advanced you are with the advanced degrees, exceptional ability, very well recognized in your field, okay? Think Mother Teresa, I don't know. The more recognized you are in that field, the easier it is for you to go through the process in a much shorter period of time. So let's say we have an engineer who is working on a particular device that's going to help diabetic persons who are dying, okay? If we can prove that it's a national interest way, then it's in the national interest for them to get the visa. That is by far the best option, and they don't need an employer to sponsor them, okay? Also, if they have advanced degrees in science, arts, education, business, and athletics, then again, they have different categories that are available for these people. So how does that process work? You need to have an employer file the initial petition with USCIS. If you are already in the United States, then you are going to apply for the green card at the same time if you want to and you are still in status. If not, you pay for premium processing, you get it done much faster, and then you apply for the green card for yourself and your family. The one that is totally different than these two categories is the labor certification or the perm process. I'm looking at my notes to make sure I don't forget to tell you guys something, okay? And for that process, when you have an employer who needs to petition for you and you are unskilled labor, they call it unskilled labor. The truth is everybody is skilled. If you need any training whatsoever in your job, you're skilled. But that's not how the government looks at it. So we call it skilled labor and unskilled labor. And oh, thanks, Adriana. That's so nice of you. Oh, I got a rose. How sweet. So for those categories, EB2s that are professionals, EB3 skilled workers, so on for unskilled workers, the first thing is the Department of Labor. So first things first, you need to get a job offer. You need to get an employer who's willing to sponsor you for the green card. This takes time. The employer needs an employee now, and it's costing them money, which is why it's hard to find an employer to petition for you. Okay? So it is very hard to get that. Usually this is available to people who have worked from abroad already for the company because now they already know you. They know how to work with you. You know how to work with them. They know your work product. It's also available for example, for students who are now on OPT. So the employer, again, got to know them and they are willing to go through the process. Not easy, but it's doable. Okay. I see people, I get calls from employers and employees daily. There are options. There are employers out there who are willing to do this, but you need to find them on your own. There is no immigration attorney out there who can help you find a job or can help you find a wife or husband, or that can help you be a matchmaker with an employer, okay? That being said, once you go through that and the employer decides this is the position that we want to hire for, and this is the person that qualifies, okay, they need to go through the prevailing wage determination. Basically, they're going to ask the Department of Labor to say, hey, for this person, how much do I need to pay? The Department of Labor can come back and say, I don't know, $10,000 or $100,000. And then it has to be okay with the employer to pay that because they need to prove that they can actually pay. And they cannot be significantly higher or lower than they are paying the other US workers who are working in similar positions. So that is the first. Assuming they go through that, then they have to go through a whole recruitment process. Again, time-consuming and expensive, where they have to show, look, I posted this job in this many places, usually 3 or more, and I got 0 resumes, or I got this many resumes, but these people are not qualified. And because of that, I need you to certify that this person can be employed in the United States. So they go through the recruitment process. That takes a couple of months. Then you go through the whole perm process. So Department of Labor can sit on that. By now, you're already 1.5 years into the process and you haven't even started working for that employer. So that's where you are. Once that perm certification comes back, and many things can happen at that, then the employer, again, very similar to the other petitions, they can start sponsoring you with USCIS. At that point, the sponsoring really starts for your immigration status. And if you're here on a legal status, you can apply. And then you have to go through the green card process. All of it takes time. Right now, the processing times with immigrations are so long. So I addressed generally what the process is to get those visas. Let's see some questions. All right. As a new asylum seeker who crossed the Mexican border illegally, how long may it take to process the paperwork, the parole? I don't know. Where are you from? Also matters. So you might want to tell me more. And did you apply for asylum? Did they do a fear determination? You need to tell me more how you got there and what happened when they apprehended you. Okay. What happens when someone on a tourist visa doesn't leave? Can they disappear? Not really. Okay. No, nobody can really disappear. You enter on a tourist visa, they know you are here. Have you heard of facial recognition? Yeah, we have a lot of that. Okay. They do a lot of that. They see social media. They can do facial recognition on Facebook, on all the other social media platforms. If you overstay, assume the government will know. Do they have the resources to come after you right away? No, but at some point they will. If you are going to overstay your student visa, then you need to find a way to remain in the United States and remain in the United States legally and get your process started. Okay. All right. So I addressed everybody's questions. I don't have anything else pending. I went over the process on how to get US work visas, both temporary and permanent. And I'm going to end the live unless there are more questions right now. So see you